Goals are drivers, and these are drivers which helps us look towards tomorrow. You have a goal, don't you? We all have. Goals need not be the big NASA trip to the space. They can be small goals of reading a book tonight. They can be regular goals. They can be big goals. They can be goals of rewards, which says I want to buy the BMW. Goals can be small actions like I want to drink water daily. I want to go tomorrow evening and spend time with my mom. Different kinds of goals. Goals comes in all shapes and all sizes. So let's dive into goals. What are your goals? What are they? I want you to write down your goal now and check that whether that is a reward goal or is it a goal which you are responsible for its actions. Like if you say, I will run 20 minutes every day, it's an action goal, right? Whereas if you say, I want to buy the 2 BHK house or I want to go on the yacht trip, that's a reward goal. It's a reward. There's no action there. Yeah. The difference between the action goal and the reward goal is simple. An action goal is a series of action which you will take, and as an outcome of that, you will get the final product. A reward goal is just putting out something and waiting and not doing anything. There's no action involved over there. So the reward goal is beyond your control. The action goal is under your control. So that is the vision. The vision. What's the vision, right? The vision is something what you see, right? That's the vision. What do you see? What's the metaphor of that what you see? That vision is the goal which you're driving yourself towards. It could be action, it could be reward. Now, what makes that vision possible is the value you associate with the goal. What value do you associate yourself with that goal? The value also brings out the ecology, whether it is possible. Why is it possible? How is it possible? What would happen if you get that goal? What would happen if you do not get that goal? What would happen? Tell me, you've written a goal, right? So look at that goal and say, what would happen if you get that goal? What would change in your life? How would you be different? What's the responses of the people in your circle? What changes if you get that goal? Also look at that goal and tell me what would happen if you do not get that goal? What would happen? Would something really change? Do you really want that goal? This is where you check the ecology of the goal. This is where you check the value proposition of the goal. How hard, how bad do you want that goal? This is where the value comes in. When adversity strikes in, are you still going to be put with that goal, to that goal? Are you going to be committing yourself to those actions? This is where the value proposition comes in. When everything seems to fall down, when everything cracks and falls down, are you still going to pursue that goal? This is where the value comes in picture. If that goal is hard and real hard for you to perceive it, to continue that, you will do it. So value is very important. So vision is important. Value is the litmus test to your goal. It's the value that makes a Lance Armstrong go behind his goal no matter what happens. It's the value that makes the Narayan Murthy pursue that goal when everything seems collapsing and falling. It's the value that will make an Arnold Schwarzenegger, a Michael Jackson, or any of these people whom you see fighting against adversities and going further on. It's because that goal is so important. What makes that goal so important? It's the value associated with that goal. There must have been something so important to them with respect to that goal, which is why they go behind that goal. So what is that value you have for that goal? That's what makes all the difference. You know, sometimes you see a person reading a book, you see that book, you see the person, you go buy the same book, but you don't end up finishing that book sometimes. But that person finished reading that book. So you bought a book for your shelf, he bought the book for himself. That's what makes all the difference. You bought it for a different value reason. So every time you pick up a goal, ask yourself, ये गोल किसका था? ये गोल क्या मेरा originally था? Was this goal my goal? Is it something that I really want to take ahead in my life? Or am I just taking it because I heard it in some workshop? Or am I taking it because I saw somebody else doing it? I saw somebody going to Ladakh and I said, even I want to go to Ladakh. I saw somebody doing something and I said, even I want to do that. My question is, why in the first place have you taken that goal? Is that goal your own? or is it somebody else's goal? If it's somebody else's goal, and if it doesn't serve you value, if it doesn't serve you, your identity and your position, and if it doesn't grow you, if it doesn't nurture you, I'm saying drop it for the time being. Pick it up whenever it serves your existence. That goal should make you bigger than who you were. That goal should serve and align yourself with your own congruence. A goal is something which makes you bigger, better, stable, calm, and flowing. Now that you have a vision, now that you have the value associated with it, you have concluded that this is a goal that you want to chase. You have concluded that this is the reason why this goal is important to you. Now you need the method, right? What's step one? What's step two? So what do? You take the big goal and you chunk it down into smaller pieces. Once you break it down into smaller pieces, you decide what you do with these small pieces. Do you do them? Do you delete them? Do you delegate them? Do you dwell on them? Or do you develop some additional skills to reach there? The 5 Ds of the decision that you will make. Do you want to do it, the small chunks? Do you want to delete it? Because sometimes you'll realize after breaking down the many pieces of the big puzzle, you'll realize ye nahi kiya to bhi chalega, because nothing changes in my goal. I can still achieve my goal even if I delete certain aspects. So do you want to do it? You want to delete it? You want to delegate it? Once you're delegating it, it's delegation with supervision. It's not just delegating. It's not just telling people, bro, you have to do this and give it to me by the next Friday. If you don't check in between, you don't get it on Friday. The 4th one is, sometimes you want to dwell on it to know whether it's to be done, whether it's to be delegated. So do you want to dwell on it? That's the 4th D. And the 5th D is the decision you make to develop an additional skill. Right? The 5 Ds which are important, and the method that you take, we're talking on the method, right? The method that you take is very important, because the method is where the resources comes in, and the resources can be emotional resource. It can be a coach state. It can be a state where you are composed, anchored well. It can be a resource of that nature. These resources are called as resourcefulness. This is what fills you with the resources, and that's what resourcefulness is. Now you will need additional resources. Sometimes it could be money, sometimes it could be some other resources, maybe computers, maybe technology, maybe something else, maybe a mentor, these are all external resources. But to enable you, to empower you to reach to those external resources, you will need a state of resourcefulness. That is where the practices come in picture. The practices that you practice on a regular basis to empower you, to grow you, to anchor you, to ground you, to stabilize you even when everything around you is falling. That's the resourcefulness. Once you are resourceful, that's when you come to a state of passion, of compassion, of empathy, of value alignment, of value congruence. Ab kya hoga? Ab simple hai na, your passion is evident, it's visible. And now that it is visible, you will see that people subscribe to you. That's when the resources comes. The resources will come only when you are in a state of resourcefulness. Now the method is to chunk it down. Now the method is the 5 Ts. Method that you take is going to be key, because that's where dreams meet logic. You have a dream, you have the vision, and you're convinced that you need to chase that, but you need some methods, you need some steps, you need some stages, and now you have those. This is the logical part. This is where the realist comes into picture. This is where execution comes into picture. But what combines with the realist and the execution is the dreamer. The dreamer is the visionary, and that's why the vision. So you set the vision, you align the value, and now you come for the method. Which part of you comes there? The part that is passionate, the part that is resourceful, because now you need team members, now you need investors, now you need mentors, and unless you get all of them together, your dream will only be a dream, because it wasn't value aligned well, because you didn't meet the executionist, you didn't meet the realist who can take these small pieces, put it into the pan and stir fry this and come out with a great dish, the value of your goal served with delight. Now this is what you can do when the state of resource, and that is the difference that creates the difference. If you're not ready to practice the practices, you will not create the difference that creates the difference. These are strong NLP techniques. Once you put it in your muscle, you will realize that it stays forever. It's like swimming. Once you learn to swim, you can swim always. It's like learning how to be resourceful. Once you learn it, you can do it forever. And that's the key. That's important. That's the difference. Like Robert says, that's the difference that creates the difference. but this is what you already know. Now the question is, what is stopping you from getting there? Because you have the value, you have the vision, you have the method, you are in a state of resourcefulness, you know that yoga works, you know meditation works, you know reading the book works, yet there is something that is not motivating you to get there, right? What is that? That is the obstruction. That is the objectionable part, because somewhere it is not aligned, somewhere it is not congruent, somewhere it's not imbibed in the values that you bring to the table. So there is an obstruction, right? There is an objection. Dick says, if there wasn't an objection, there wasn't an obstruction, you would have already got it. The reason why it is still a vision, the reason why it's still a dream, is because there is something which is stopping you. What is stopping you? That's a good question to ask on your goal, right? You've been holding this goal for too long. For what reason have I not taken the first step? For what reason have I not taken the first step? It's a good question to ask. There are people who tell me, I want to learn a new language. I'm asking them, what's stopping you? There's people who tell me weeks after weeks, months after months, and even after 2 years, they tell me that I need to visit this country. I want to take that solo trip, and 2 saal ke baad bhi liya nahi hai. My question is, what is stopping you? My question to you is, what is stopping you? Identify that obstruction. That obstruction ko identify karna zaruri hai, because otherwise everything will fail, right? Your litmus test is value. If your value is in place, your obstruction can be sorted. The formula to deal with obstruction is simple. Remove the negative self-belief. Remove and work on the concept of self, and add additional resources to the state of resourcefulness. And once you do this, you will realize you will be able to move from where you are to where you want to go. The obstruction to your desired outcome, to your goal, to your dream, this obstruction is something which stays in between your current state and your desired state. That brings me to ask you this question: what is your present state? I know you have a dream, I know you want to go somewhere, but the question is, where are you right now? If you put on Google Map, you want to go to Hughesville, Google Map will ask you, where are you now? If you put on Google Map that you want to go to Tsinsa Shui, Google Map will ask you, where are you now? It cannot navigate you. It cannot navigate you unless it knows where you are right now. So it calls you to be honest. It calls you to be fascinated, more than fascination, to be honest with your goals. And once you are honest with your goals, you will be honest with your present state. And it's good to say that you're behind on your promises. There are pennies in my pocket, and I've screwed up some relationships. Well, that's the present state. Good. Now my question is, where do you want to go? I need to have some bucks of money. I need to have better relations. I need to do something else. That's something which changes everything. To know where you are, that's heavy, right? That's painful to know this is where you are. You're messed up sometimes, and we are all messed up in different ways. But to acknowledge that fact, to be aware of that fact, is bringing to surface the possibility of going somewhere else. लेकिन जब तक हम इसके साथ honesty नहीं बरकरार रखते हैं, जब तक we are not truthful to this goal, we are not going to reach here, because that's a lie now we are going to tell ourselves. We are hiding this, we are putting this under the carpet, we are not cleaning the poop in the floor, and we still want to go here. How will you go here if this is going to stink, if this is going to be painful, and if this is going to be problematic? You got to be honest to this. So wake up today and tell yourself, I've screwed up some relationships, but I want to work on it and make it better. I've got pennies in my pocket, but I'm committed to pay all of them and make more money. I have messed up in so many things. So it's good to be honest to the present state, not to lie. And that's when you go to the present, to the desired state. And when you take this journey, you will realize there is obstruction. And once when you're honest to the present state, you will realize that this is the place of disgust. This is a place where you do not want to be. This is a place from where you want to move. Now the question is, where do you want to move? You want to move to better relations. You want to move to better financial health. You want to move to better opportunities. So what is stopping you? It's the obstruction. This is where the obstruction is. So what is this obstruction? This obstruction is something which is stopping you from moving from the present state to the desired state. How does the obstruction look like? The obstruction has negative self-talks. The obstruction has a state of helplessness. The obstruction has a state of hopelessness. And how do you overcome this? What is the bridge that you will work around? The bridge that you will work around is the state of resourcefulness. To have the right mentors, to have the right practices, to have the right design, to have the right sponsorship, which will touch you, which will move you, who will see you and take you around these obstructions towards your desired state, towards your goals. Once you are on this path of reaching yourself from where you are to the goal that you want to go, it's important to have regular measurement. Measurement to know, where are you? Have you been stalled? Is your team member progressing, or are they stalled? Are you progressing? What's the rate of progression? When will you reach that goal? This measurement is important. Also, what is very important is to know that you've reached your goal. Otherwise, you will be beating a dead horse even after it is dead, because you're still working towards your goal. Some people are still working. I've met people even after 2 years and they say they're dieting. So it's so important to know, where are you on this goal? And even if there is a little bit of progress, it's progress. Don't beat yourself up, because progress is progress. Doesn't matter how small, how slow, it's still a progress. Yeah. But it's also important to know, for some reason, if you're not progressing, do you have a valid reason for it? Sometimes you want to dwell on it, and maybe that's also progress. But sometimes you know that goal is stalled and stopped, and therefore you need to delete that from your system. That is where the decision of the 5 Ds will come in picture. So measurement is so important. So in the NLP class, I give the story of this dog chasing a car in a village. Okay, so the farmer is sitting, whose dog that is, and the farmer's friend is sitting next to this farmer, and this friend is asking the farmer, I'm thinking, will the dog ever get the car? The farmer is saying, that's not my worry at all. My worry is, what will the dog do even after he gets the car? So my question is, are we sometimes chasing meaningless goals? If yes, drop it. Why chase that when life can still be aligned, right? Life can still be aligned. In this wonderful space of time that we have, whatever time that we have here on earth, we got to create our identity and live that life in full peace. Judy used to tell us that when the wave rises, that's all the identity that it has. Before that wave, it's a sea. After the wave, it is still the sea. इसके पहले भी वो समंदर, इसके बाद भी वो समंदर, but that is creating the identity. And in that identity, whatever you create stays. That's the only identity you have. इसके बाद, इसके पहले और हमेशा के लिए, it's only going to be the big vast sea. So what you do is, in that time, in that flowing river of time, pick out that, hold that time that you have, which is important, to build the goal which is important, meaningful and valuable, to spend, to spread, to grow, to align, to be in ecology with the people you love the most. That's where goals come in picture. That's where your family will subscribe to it, to be aligned with the closest relations that you hold, because in the end, it's all the sea, and the wave will flow again.